awesome.
Herbert had like a Rodgers-esque performance when Rodgers could not miss against like the Cardinals. Sorry, Donnie. It was like that where I was like, this guy's not like.
Dude,
like,
their defense is just not that talented. That's the issue.
They have 2 players.
Yeah,
they have 2 players. Kenneth Murray got put in a blender.
He sucks.
He's awful, dude. Welcome to another episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. Max Chadwick alongside Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons. So we're doing our 5th mock of the season. The regular season is officially over. So we know the first 18 picks of the 2022 NFL draft. So we're going to run through the first round as it stands right now. Obviously, the playoffs are going to change picks 19 through 32. How we're doing this, no trades are allowed, even though trades probably will be made before this draft. The order is based on the current order, like I said, following the regular season. And this is what we would do. So none of us have sources. We're not plugged into the NFL. This is what we would do as a general manager of each of these teams, not what we think will happen. As always, please follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft. Check out our website for full mock drafts. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify to stay up to date on all of our latest content. Rate us 5 stars too. And please hit the merch store for our latest in gear and keep dropping comments below. We love interacting with you guys in the comment section. We're going to drop more videos, as you saw, like the Aiden Hutchinson video. We're going to do more of those scouting reports. If you want to see us cover someone in depth that we're going over in this mock draft, or maybe someone who fell out of the first round in this mock draft, leave comments below of who you want to see. So, first overall pick for the second year in a row is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Nick, the Browns are the last team who had 2 straight first overall picks. They took Baker Mayfield and Myles Garrett, so a quarterback and an edge. They took Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars last year, what edge are they taking here at number 1?
I think I take Aiden Hutchinson. We just made a video about him. He's our number 1 player. Simple. And Clavon Chason hasn't quite worked for them, I think. I would be interested to see if they try to turn him into more of a full-time linebacker role. He just has not had the power to play a natural edge position for them. I do think Josh Allen is good, so you get a more powerful edge rush on the other side of your speed guy. And with those 2 combined, you could actually have a pretty good pass rush in Jacksonville. They obviously need a little more to fill up the roster, and I think this is a team that, like a lot of teams at the top of this draft, should be looking to trade back if they can. But if they are stuck here, Aiden Hutchinson should be the pick.
So I'm here at second with the Lions, and I know a lot of people are saying right now, okay, Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau's the number 1 pick, and then whoever falls will be the number 2 pick. I actually am going to go a different route here for the Detroit Lions. I'm going with Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame, and I know people are saying safety at 2 overall, like that is way too high. Not for this guy, and first of all, the safety position is being severely undervalued in modern defenses. I think coverage is more valuable to defense than pass rush, and you want to get these really good coverage players there. Also, I think Kyle Hamilton is a better safety prospect than Kayvon Thibodeau is an edge prospect. So the combination of maybe playing a more valuable position at safety and the fact that he might be a better prospect overall than Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm taking Kyle Hamilton here. The Notre Dame safety here at 2 for the Lions, and just get the best player available for Dan Campbell.
So I have the Texans at 3, and I'm going to take the guy who the Lions will most likely take it to, but Max decided to go a different route. I'm going to take Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge rusher from Oregon. Don't turn him into Clowney again. Please, don't turn him into Clowney. I beg you guys. You messed up once. Don't mess up again. He has the highest ceiling of maybe any player in this entire draft. Don't mess it up. Kayvon Thibodeau could be a monster. Yeah, David Coley, you got this, buddy.
Clowney was my comp, too. That might be a little scary for Houston, but it should work out.
David Culley's still there. Hasn't been fired
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Bravo, man.
I would say people who made fun of the Lions or who praise the Lions for being in games. Like, David Culley's been in some games, dude. Like, he competed. Like, maybe he's not saying – maybe it's not the funny quotes that are not getting him the love that Dan Campbell is, but he's been surprising this year.
Yeah, they've been all right. Haven't had a ton of issues this term as far as exceeding expectations down there in Houston. Mm-hmm. So the Jets are up. A lot of questions about tackle, corner, I think receivers in need. I know Evan Neal and Derek Stingley are going to be the big guys on a lot of people's boards, but I think Stingley just not having a really great year in a few years now here. Evan Neal, I think we all believe, or at least I know Max and I don't know, we haven't talked as a whole group about Evan Neal yet, is a little bit overrated as a prospect. For me, I think Garrett Wilson had one of the stronger years for these prospects this season. I think he comes out as a really clean wide receiver prospect that, for me, really the only thing that doesn't completely translate for me the NFL is he's not like a huge receiver, but other than that, I think he checks all the boxes. I think this is your rare, extremely high floor receiver type, who to me is like a much better, in my opinion, Elijah Moore. And I think you stick him in an offense with a Zach Wilson, and you could have some very, very intriguing receiving core over there with kind of a foil of a possession type in Corey Davis. I think the Jets here will be looking for receivers in some of these early picks. They have a lot of high picks, and I think here at 4, if it's me, I'm taking Garrett Wilson. I think he's the top offensive player in this draft outside of quarterback.
Ooh.
Hot take, I like it. Giants at 5. Just like Nick said, Evan Neal is getting pretty overrated. I don't think he's a top 5 player in this draft because he has a lot of issues with pass protection. But like I said in the last mock draft, and that was actually my first full-time video on here, he is going to absolutely light up the combine. So I'm gonna take Evan Neal at 5 because I mean that's what got DK Metcalf all that hype. And that's not the combine specifically, but that's what got Jamin Davis all that hype as well, as those athletic traits. And that's what Evan Neal is going to do at the combine. He's going to light it up. He's probably going to impress at interviews because I'd imagine most offensive linemen do. He'll light up the combine, and he'll probably be a top 5 pick, even though I don't think he's tackle 1.
The unfortunate part is Dave Gettleman just retired. This is Evan Neal will be a guy that Dave Gettleman will be salivating over. So unfortunately, R.I.P. Dave Gettleman. Although a lot of Giants fans probably are not wishing him well at the door. So the Panthers here at 6. This is interesting, and I want to preface this by apologizing to our viewers because in our Kenny Pickett video, I said Kenny Pickett QB2 behind Matt Corral QB1. Well, I got some more time on my hands, and I was able to watch this quarterback class more in depth, and I have a new take. And it's not Kenny Pickett QB1, and it's not Matt Corral QB1. It is Sam Howell QB1. QB1. I'm back on the train, man. Sam Howell, who I think career-wise, I think he has had the best career of any quarterback in this class. This year, obviously, is a little bit down, but I still think he was really good. And because he became a really good runner, so you lose all these star players, at UNC, and he had to take on the load himself. And I think he did a pretty good job with that. So I'm taking Carolina, staying in Carolina, Sam Howell to the Panthers, my new QB1 in this draft, which I'm just saying now is not solidified yet. This draft is so weird that it could change my mind a ton. But right now, Sam Howell is QB1 going to the Panthers at 6.
Hopefully Nico. Hopefully you're watching this video because I know you're gonna like that.
Let's go, Nico.
Giants at 7. Once again for the second mock draft in a row, I can't say his name. Dave Gettleman. Hopefully he won't be there, so I don't think they're going to go offensive lineman twice. So I'm just going to take a guy who I know Nick doesn't really like this guy, and he shouldn't go this high, but this draft class just isn't very good. George Karlaftis at 7. You're getting a high floor with this guy, and you're possibly getting a top 10 edge rusher if he does hit that ceiling. And I mean, I'll take my shot with the high floor, I guess.
Nick Mito's available, Di. Just let you know.
Yeah, that would be a mistake in the top 10.
This year is nuts, man. I mean, we really do just have, and we keep bringing up mocks when we're just talking to each other off camera. How all these people just have crazy takes. Everybody has a crazy take this year because that's what this draft is. It's just as well as not having the top tier prospects, it also condenses the talent pool so that everybody's kind of around the same, talent. So you just have these like weird boards. Anyways, that's my little rant about that.
You think people, real quick before you go, you think people are just kind of coming up with takes just so they can feel different about this draft?
Yeah, I think partially they feel more comfortable about making takes on this draft too. Last year you could not have takes really.
Yeah, you could.
But anything else, it would be like you're an idiot. Like you're missing it. Nick Benito's not just a take I'm coming up with, man. I've been on this train for a while now.
This has been going. We've been back there. This was
I was
last
on this
year.
train in the preseason, and then I just kind of just,
He's my guy.
Yeah.
Max is like, this is a top 20 player last year's draft class.
Yeah.
Like, before
That's one last year.
I'm riding or dying, man. I'm riding or dying.
All right. So the Falcons are up. This is not a team that I love just throwing a QB at, but they're going to need a quarterback. And my number 2 player is on the board. And I just, I can't in good faith not give them Matt Corral, who, again, we're drumming away at this over and over again. I love this guy. I think he has the best athletic profile of any quarterback in this draft class outside of Malik Willis, but also has the best 3-year stretch, 2-year stretch maybe, because we're not talking about the same how, but playing in the SEC, offensive issues potentially, size issues potentially. But I think when at his best, some of the throws you've seen, some of the movement in the pocket, some of the vision you see on the field from him, it translates very well to the NFL. I think his processing speed's there. And I think Atlanta could very well make that jump from Matt Ryan to Matt Corral. I don't think the difference between the two outside of some mobility is really that big, honestly, at least on a grand scale of quarterbacks. I don't think they're that far apart because they're really not the same player, but you know what I mean. And I do think Atlanta is, at this point, your top 8 picking team again. You were picking top 4 last year. I don't think taking a receiver here is going to make you a playoff team. You have to be thinking about taking quarterbacks and about your future.
So here at 9, I got the Denver Broncos, and that was my pick. Matt Corral was my pick for the Broncos here at 9 because they desperately need a quarterback. As recently fired Vic Fangio said, he's like, the reason we're not competing in the AFC West with the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Raiders is because we don't have a good quarterback, and they have a good quarterback. Well, unfortunately, I'm not taking Kenny Pickett here at 9 because there is a guy, and I know we keep saying like this is a weird draft with not a lot of top players. This guy is one of the top players, and I am shocked that he made it to 9. Derek Stingley Jr., the corner from LSU. Now, I understand Patrick Surtain was your first-round pick last year. You screwed that one up, even though he looks like a superstar corner. You should have taken Justin Fields, and then we wouldn't have to worry about this for the Denver Broncos, about who the quarterback is for the future. Or even, I hate to say it, Mac Jones I probably still would have taken over Patrick Surtain. But you screwed up that one. This year, I don't want to take Kenny Pickett over Derek Stingley Jr., who I think is a blue-chip prospect still in this draft. I understand injuries have been a major concern for him these last couple years, but I still think this is a top 5 prospect in this draft. And, outside of Surtain, like that cornerback room is a little iffy. So I would think pairing Surtain with Derek Stingley Jr., who I think are both the best corner prospects, both of them, since Jalen Ramsey. That is a superstar secondary that they got going on there, in addition to Justin Simmons, too, who might be one of the best safeties in the NFL. That secondary, which I mentioned before, the Kyle Hamilton, secondary is so, so valuable. You want a good quarterback, a good receiving core, and a really good secondary. That's kind of the key to winning now. Broncos got that really good secondary. They got the really good receiving core. You better find that quarterback, and maybe a veteran quarterback could be the answer for the Broncos. So I'm going Derek Stingley Jr. to the Broncos here.
Yeah, and Uber's trading into this pick. If the Broncos trade it, probably takes Stingley. But also, yeah, they're deep at safety. Surtain's great. Callahan's great. I would expect that Darby or Fuller might not both be back next year.
Yeah.
Number 10 pick overall, the Jets are probably also looking for corners. If I were to guess here, there's a multitude of guys that they're going to be looking at. But for me, a guy who rise really high after that game against Alabama is Ahmad Sauce Gardner. And I think you saw him as the year go on play a little bit more than just kind of that slot role and press man roles at times. He played some zone, played some outside. The guy has kind of stretched what he is as a player and shown that he can play in different roles in the defense. He might even play a little bit of safety if you need him to. The Jets just need everything in that secondary right now. I don't even know if Marcus May is coming back. They have developed a couple of guys who were late round picks like Bryce Hall. But ultimately, corner, huge need for the Jets. And I really think Ahmad Sauce Gardner, the way he played in that game against Alabama, is some of the best tape you're going to have from any prospect this year going into the NFL draft. I think it shows that his floor was perhaps higher than I had thought initially, and for that has rocketed up more than just my draft boards.
Oh, you're up again, Nick.
I am up again. Look at that. And it is Washington, That's probably the first time and last time I'll forget that I'm picking for them. You know what? QB, I don't need to go on a rant about quarterbacks. Like, they got to take one. You can't go years after missing on Haskins and just continuously not throw chips on the table for a quarterback. You have to put resources there if you don't have a guy, whether it's trading for a veteran, and if you don't, you have to throw either first-round pick or, because of this class, maybe you trade up with this other second-round pick or you take with the second. That would probably be a secondary option if the guys are off the table. But Kenny Pickett's here. We're going to take Kenny Pickett. I think it's pretty simple. And I think with what they have right now, it's enough to compete at least a little bit better than they did this year with the Kenny Pickett. 2 years from now, maybe they compete a lot. But you have to have a plan at quarterback. It can't be a Teddy Bridgewater type next year. It just can't. That's how Ron Rivera gets fired.
This fall was absolutely ridiculous to me, so I'm just gonna take him before I lose my mind. Tyler Linderbaum to the Vikings. Garrett Bradbury, I believe that's his name. I don't follow the Vikings as much as I just don't. Justin Jefferson, that's all I care about. But Garrett Bradbury was a miss in 2019. He has not been good at all. Maybe you could possibly slide him out to guard, and then why not just go ahead and draft the best center prospect we have ever seen, Quentin Nelson playing center, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Tyler Linderbaum at 12 to the Vikings. It's a steal. You have to do it.
Donnie, this is before your time, and maybe for a lot of new viewers not going to understand this. For the OG Boomer Bust guys, Viking Skull was a guy who hated a lot of our Vikings picks, big Viking fan, and the reason he hated it was he kept mocking these guards to the Vikings. He said interior O-line in the first round is the dumbest thing. So Viking Skull, if you're watching this right now, I hope you enjoy the Tyler
Viking Skull, I hope I had a great first impression on you. If it makes you feel any better, he's Quentin Nelson playing center.
Viking Skull.
This isn't Elijah Vera Tucker. This is better. So
I think
it's okay.
Wyatt Davis going to them, who they actually got later on in the draft too, which is interesting after that injury. But yeah, Vikings goal. If you're going to take an interior offensive lineman, you got the right one here at Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah. Plus, also, I know you like receiver a lot, and apparently Amir Smith-Marset decided to have 100 yards last week, so maybe that's your wide receiver 3.
13, Browns. Speaking of Tate, his team, I'm going to go with the receiver, and I really had a lot of trouble, and I think this is going to be a debate I have myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people are going to have this debate too, is who is wide receiver 2 in this class. And I'm going to go with Jameson Williams right now because I think the Browns need that speed in their system to go along with Jarvis Landry. And we'll see how he competes in the national championship game. We're recording this on Monday before the game. But this is a guy who has really, really emerged in this class. He transferred from Ohio State because he wasn't getting enough targets in that system, goes to Alabama, is an absolutely absurdly good receiver, Biletnikoff finalist. And I'm debating between him and Drake London, but as of right now, I think Jameson Williams gets my vote for wide receiver 2 in this draft.
Yeah, starting after that pick, with the Linderbaum pick, you're going to see a lot of value picks in this draft now just because of those quarterbacks. But same thing here. I love the Williams pick, love the Linderbaum pick. Going to go here with 14, the Ravens. They need help on that O-line. It's been not that great ever since the MVP season that Lamar Jackson had. They've been struggling with run blocking and kind of just using Lamar to make it work. They're going to go with Ikem Ekwonu here, who's still on the board. Obviously, we talked about how good of a year he had as a run blocker at NC State. Really, really good value, I think, here at 14, top 10 player on my board. Could play tackle, could play guard. I kind of have him listed as a tackle guard hybrid because I don't know if Alejandro Villanueva comes back. I know Ronnie Stanley's in there, obviously, but he's had injury issues. Either way, whatever he plays, you just need to get an offensive line piece there in Baltimore. And good for them here. I know they had a lot of injuries and they struggled this year because of that, but they played well enough and still get rewarded with a higher pick than they normally get. So I have a feeling that they'll take advantage of it.
Dude, Ikem Ekwonu and the Ravens, that scheme fit with a running team, my God, that is terrifying. I love that.
That is, I was literally about to say, that might be the best,
Charles Cross is good, but, he's a pass blocker more. Ikem Ekwonu is a mauler, dude. And him and Lamar Jackson, I love that fit.
It'd be fun.
Tevin Jenkins, except hopefully he's
we'll see. I like Tevin.
I still believe in Tevin.
Tevin's all right. He was all right this
year. Tevin's okay. I mean, take away his
not as good as Larry Borum, my guy, but it's my guy. I love Larry.
Eagles at 15. I feel like they never ever address this position, but I'm just gonna take it anyway because I just don't really. Eagles are kind of weird right now because I think they really were praying that, by the sounds of, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the reports that I've been reading, they really, really like Jamison Williams in this draft. So we'll see if that rumor actually does come true later on. And I wouldn't hate it if they draft a third receiver like 3 years in a row. I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take the best linebacker in this draft. Nakobe Dean was arguably not even just – was he? Oh my God, English is hard. He was the best linebacker in college football this year, and he was arguably the best coverage player in college football.
Ooh,
he
was very good. Yeah,
you can make an argument like when it comes to just coverage ability, he was arguably the best coverage player in all of college football this year. And I think if you're the Eagles, you have to take that at 15, which also leads me to the Eagles at 16. Outside of Darius Slay, you don't really got much at cornerback. Tay Gowan, the greatest corner of all time. Hopefully he can possibly be something as a 6th-round pick. But I'm just going to take Trent McDuffie at 16. I don't really know what to think of this guy. All I know is that he's very, very good. I don't really know what to think of this guy. Like, he's not – this is what I've seen from him. I don't think he's a great athlete, but he's so good in man coverage and zone coverage that I just kind of look past it. So – I love Trent McDuffie, and if I'm the Eagles, I tell these guys all the time, there are 5 corners in this class that I think go into the NFL and are great right away, and I think Trent McDuffie is one of those guys.
Yeah, very, like he's a Washington corner too, like this physical corner. You see it coming out of Washington all the time, like Elijah Molden even. 17 of the Chargers. I hope people who, maybe hate my takes about this guy are happier with this selection, even though they probably think this is still too high. Nick Bonito, I'm going to the Chargers at 17. As you saw in that game against the Raiders, besides the Storm Norton, trust me, I thought about Charles Cross for a minute here because Storm Norton was a privilege to watch against Max Crosby. Like, that was a clinic. But otherwise, this Chargers defense, man, we were talking about it, is kind of like 2-3 players if you want to count Asante Samuel right now. You got Joey Bosa, you got Derwin James, and Asante Samuel Jr. looks like he'll be a good corner in his rookie year right now. I think you guys need another one. You need an edge defender, especially after losing Melvin Ingram. I'm giving them Nick Bonito, who I love in this draft. Probably my edge 3 right now. He's been such an amazing pass rusher for Oklahoma. I understand the size concerns, but he has been so freaking dominant at Oklahoma that this guy is worth a first-round pick and not a day 2 pick as everyone else has him at. So I got Nick Bonito going to the Chargers here.
All right, Saints at 18 in value pick mode as a roster that just needs positions of value everywhere. Weird thing is they don't really need edge because they've kind of loaded up at that position. They have 3 guys that are kind of interesting going forward. We'll see what they do with Davenport. So that's the one. There's a position. There's a lot of guys in that they can't go after. Luckily, another guy that I have pretty high on my board is Charles Cross from Mississippi State, 3-year starter in the SEC, productive. I think he's a little bit overrated as an athlete. We're going to see what happens there with the testing. We'll see what happens with that. But he ultimately had a really good senior year. He rose up my board a little bit because of it. And I think New Orleans is probably going to see Terron Armstead get out of there. He's probably going to get paid by someone else, considering their cap situation, need a left tackle replacement. And I think this is a nice fit here for New Orleans.
Once again, for the 3rd time in the draft, I have the Eagles at 19. For a team that's just not really that good, I don't care they made the playoffs. They're just not really that great of a football team. I mean, look at their schedule. The best team they beat was the Falcons. Like, congratulations. I don't think you're that great of a team. For a team that just isn't that great, I just don't really know what to take. I think edge and wide receiver are the top 2 after corner and linebacker. So I'm just going to take the guy who's probably the highest left on my board, and that's David Ojabo. Freak athlete. Maybe the most athletic edge rusher in this draft. Maybe it's close between him and Kayvon, but I think there's a debate there. It's kind of like the Jason Owe of this year, except he actually got a sack this season. So, yeah.
Come on, man. Odafe looked pretty good this year for the Ravens.
Odafe was great this year. He was great this year, but he doesn't know how to sack a college quarterback. But that's okay.
Yeah, he's sacking NFL quarterbacks though. He's doing just fine for himself.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You're sacking quarterbacks and getting paid. That's awesome. But yeah, this is the Jason Owe, ODFOA of this class, freak athlete that needs some build up. And I think if the Eagles get him, you have to be jumping up and down with this value.
So here at 20, I got my Steelers, who are inexplicably in the playoffs right now. Like that week 18, man, was that like I
Had
said
some
before,
fun times watching that game the other
that
night.
Shout out Jacksonville for beating the Colts.
Shout out Jacksonville and shout out the Raiders.
Carson Wentz.
Shout out the Raiders, man. Daniel Carlson, my literal hero after that game. I'm just saying it right now that game was too storybook for Ben to get blown out by the Chiefs. There's going to be some magic left. I'm just saying that.
It's going to be
otherwise
again.
It's going to be.
Dude, if the Steelers win, I'm going to just
2015 Broncos, man, when Peyton Manning's arm was hanging on by a thread and that defense carried them to a Super Bowl. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. I'm calling it right now. 20. I'm kind of lower on this guy. I think his school kind of screwed him a little bit, but I'm taking him here because they desperately need O-line help. Kenyon Green, the guard, tackle, whatever you want to call him for Texas A&M, because he's literally played 4 of the 5 positions like almost every single game. They're moving him around, which he hasn't really played that great, but I think that's a lot of it to do with he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing sometimes. We're like, oh, go play guard this game. Okay, go play right guard this game, and then left tackle, and then right tackle. This guy's moving all over the line. I'm curious to see what he looks like when he really focuses in on one position. Steelers desperately need O-line help. The guy who's actually getting picked next was the guy I was looking at too, because they also need that position. But I settled on Kenyon Green for the Steelers.
Will that make it double greens for the Pittsburgh O-line?
Oh, yeah, Kendrick Green. I forgot about that.
Ooh,
yes.
Double
Greens.
K Greens.
I like that.
K Greens. Oh, my God. It'd be KEND and KENY Green. God, that poor jersey maker. That font is going to be so tiny, dude. That font is going to be like size 2 to get that on the jersey.
Just do the Bucky Brooks thing, put the full name on the jersey.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, Patriots are up. Again, value pick here. I don't know that they really need to be attacking corner as a position here, but knowing what I know they're probably moving on from a couple older players at that position, and just knowing what they need press guys, especially guys who can run downfield and make plays on deep routes. And I think one of the best guys covering downfield on deep throws is this draft class is Roger McCreary. And I believe that he could fit in well there. I know New England does well to develop this position, and they just continue to load up on it over and over and over again. I think that just because of how well they've developed it, it doesn't really matter, honestly, what corner they take. Just put them in the system, get guys that at least fit a little bit, and his ability downfield, in my opinion, allows them to have some semblance of an idea of how to break that guy into their system and have another dominant coverage player for Bill Belichick's defense.
Dolphins at 22 because of the Trey Lance trade with the 49ers. They need offensive line, and there aren't a ton left that I necessarily love, but if they were going to take one here because they desperately need offensive line, Duron Kennard from Kentucky had a very solid game against Iowa. He's a guard, tackle, whatever, but I like him more as a tackle. Miami passed on Sewell in last year's draft, and I will continue to say it. They should have taken him over Waddle. I know that Waddle has the potential to be maybe baby Tyreek Hill, but getting a franchise right or left tackle, whoever's your quarterback, and for the upcoming years is more valuable than getting a superstar wide receiver. So, please, for the love of God, take an offensive lineman.
I got the Raiders here, which Donnie desperately wanted me to take. Jordan Davis. I'm telling you. Okay, listen, we said it before, though. This is what we would do, not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is Jordan Davis.
Yes.
What I would do is Drake London, who I think is very good value here at 23 to the Raiders, who obviously they need receiver help after the whole Ruggs situation. And Hunter Renfrow is kind of by himself right now. And I know Brian Edwards, who John Gruden's gone now. Randy Moss and Terrell Owens combined hasn't really turned out that way so far. But I'm taking Drake London here. I think that could be their number 1 receiver. I think Hunter Renfrow is probably good number 2. And you just desperately need more receivers for Derek Carr or whoever the heck is quarterback. Who knows if Derek Carr is staying there. But I think Drake London is a really good value and a really big need for the Raiders here at 23.
I love that pick. Like, that pick is awesome. You guys know that I really like Drake London. I think he's the clear-cut wide receiver too. But at the end of the day, they're taking Jordan Davis.
Oh, I know they're taking Jordan Davis. I'm going to be very upset.
Oh, I'm not going to be upset.
Him against Alex Leatherwood in practice, man, I wish I could get footage of that. That could be a lot of fun. Oh man.
Who would win? We have no idea.
Nobody wins. Nobody wins.
The Raiders lost. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Cardinals at 24. I've said on TikTok now multiple times, Cardinals need to draft a cornerback because we lost Patrick Peterson last year. He was getting older. We had to let him go. Byron Murphy, great slot corner. Michael Wilson, great potential to be a CB2 considering how highly he tested with that athletic score. I'm pretty sure he tested in like the 99th percentile, which is crazy. So need a true number one corner, and I think Kiara Elam, who is my draft crush for this draft, Kiara Elam to the Cardinals would be a dream come true to me. Press man corner with great ball skills at Florida. His only concern is injuries, and if it wasn't for injuries, he'd have an argument for the second best corner in this class. But like I said, as a Cardinals fan, I'd be cool with any of these guys. But if we got Kiara Elam, who fell here at 24, I would be jumping up and down.
All right, 25, Bengals. Weird roster situation where I feel like they're at least okay at all the positions they're not great at, and the one place they're bad is offensive line. And we had a run offensive lineman that kind of started getting just flying off the board, so there's really not a guy here I really want on the O-line. So I'm just going to go with the best player on the board, and that's Kingsley Enagbare for me, who's a edge rusher who I think we talked about in previous video when we talked about George Karlaftis, fits my athletic profile, and production-wise I thought was great in college. Is a top 15 player for me on my board, and I think the Bengals are in a place defensively where I think they are good at a lot of positions. They got one star player defensively in Jesse Bates. They got a lot of like solid edge rushers, solid corners. They're not like blue chip anywhere though, and so because of that, I think they feel comfortable just adding a player at any of those positions and trying to just get better there. Even with a paid Sam Hubbard, with a paid Trey Hendrickson, I think having a third edge rusher is already more valuable than people think it is. Regardless, but you can upgrade on those guys even if you're paying them, and I think Kingsley has a shot to come in and just be their best edge rusher immediately.
So I got the Buffalo Bills here next, and kind of going off that, I'm going to go with a guy who was very high on a lot of preseason boards, kind of fell off a little bit, DeMarvin Leal, who D-tackle, edge, wherever you want to play him from Texas A&M. This is a guy who is kind of a lot like Gregory Rousseau in that you just can play him up and down the defensive line, and he could do a lot of damage there. So I think having two versatile pieces in Leal, in Gregory Rousseau, you have a pretty decent interior already with Phillips and Ed Oliver. But I think getting DeMarvin Leal, which they need help on that defensive line, I think he could really help if you want to put him as the other edge for opposite Gregory Rousseau, since Jerry Hughes is getting up there in age, and so is Mario Addison. So I think DeMarvin Leal would really be a good value and a good need for the Bills here at 26. And I got the Lions, at 27 via the Rams. I was really looking at a quarterback here. I don't think I will pull the trigger just yet, though. Maybe try to get that with the second round pick. But I'm going to go with Chris Olave, who I think has fallen here, wide receiver from Ohio State. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been very good for the Lions this year, even better than I would expect for him. I wasn't as high on him as I know others were on the show. But Chris Olave, I think you still need another receiver. I like Chris Olave a lot. He's a deep receiver, really good speed, really, really good route runner, one of the best separators in this class. I think the Lions could use that, and I know you're going to have to start Jared Goff probably for one more year before you really look at quarterback. Probably next year's draft when you're picking highly again, maybe Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, who knows? And C.J. Stroud, if you get him, get Chris Olave, one of the guys he loved throwing to as well. So Chris Olave to the Lions here at 27.
Wide receiver 5 to the Lions at 27. Let's go. No, I'm kidding. That's a good pick. Cowboys at 28. I'm going to do what Nick loves to do all the time, and I'm just going to give him Jordan Battle just because they need safety. Aren't both their safeties like massively tall? Like, aren't they like, yeah, they're massively tall.
They have both, that's cool. The only, like I said in the Hamilton video, the only two safeties that are 6'4" or taller are on the Cowboys. So
Jerry likes tall safeties. Yeah, so I'm just going to take Jordan Battle. Pretty sure he was top 3 in PFF coverage grade throughout this college football season, which not too sure about that, but I'm pretty sure I saw a graphic about that. But either way, I think Jordan Battle is the second best safety in this draft, and if I'm the Cowboys, you need to address that safety because you need to make Trayvon Diggs look a little bit better than he currently has been this season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Chiefs are up, and receiver probably a bigger need here, but I think this guy is awesome. Jaquan Brisker still on the board. Similar Tyrann Mathieu type player, a little bigger. And they would just be able to rotate those guys. There's been all sorts of problems with them just playing Daniel Sorensen. They can't figure out that Juan Thornhill's better for some reason. So let's just get a guy that's clearly better than both of them, and Jaquan Brisker, and just have an awesome safety duo. They already have a guy in L'Jarius Sneed who's just been a star this year, who they like to rotate around in the secondary out as a corner. They probably need more corners as well. This is a roster that really has a lot more holes I think people are giving credit for. It gets covered up by Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, and Tyreek Hill. And an O-line that really has been all right this year at times. But they just need talent everywhere, and I don't think it's bad for them to just be taking the best player on the board at this point. Jaquan Brisker, to me, is stud, and I think he would fit in well with Tyrann Mathieu next to him in that defense.
So I was looking at Brisker here for the 30th pick for the Buccaneers, but Nick took him, and I wanted Battle too, but he's gone too. So I'm going to go with a linebacker named Devin, who's actually pretty good, and that's Devin Lloyd.
He's better than the other Devin.
The Utah linebacker. And I know a lot of people are going to hate that, but we are not fans of Devin Lloyd. I don't think he's been very good at all. I think he's got Devin White. Excuse me. Yeah. I love Devin Lloyd. But yeah, Nick could go on a freaking soliloquy about Devin White. But I'll spare you that. All I'm saying is Devin White has not been nearly as good. He might be the most overrated player in the league right now. Yeah, he probably is. You still need help. Lavonte David's awesome. Always loved Lavonte David, which is funny. He's one of the most underrated players in the league is Lavonte David, and one of those overrated players in the league plays the same position on the same team. That works. And Devin White. So Devin Lloyd with Lavonte David will be awesome. So I'm taking him to the Buccaneers here at 30.
Who's the best Devin on that team? I think we know the answer to that. So I got the Titans at 31. Originally, they needed safety very bad, but both the safeties are gone. But I don't think I'd really take one anymore because they just got Zach Cunningham. I think the top two biggest needs on this team are corner and maybe wide receiver. But I don't really like – the more I watch Andrew Booth, the more I just kind of start to think, is he really a first-round pick? I don't know. So I'm going to take the guy who I know for sure is a first-round pick, and that's Treylon Burks. I've heard the weirdest comparisons about this guy. I've heard people say, oh, he's baby Debo and baby DK Metcalf put together. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, I really like Treylon Burks, but I think he is. I think he's baby DK Metcalf, not quite that type of a ceiling, though. But I really do like Treylon Burks. I think he's the third best receiver in this draft. And if you're the Titans, considering that Julio is just not really the same anymore, which makes me sad because he's one of the best wide receivers of the entire decade, I think you need to get someone to compare to put with A.J. Brown. And I think Treylon Burks is that guy.
All right. We just talked about Nick's soliloquies. Here we go. Here's another one. All right, Packers fans. So, let's just say you are picking 32 and you've won the Super Bowl because that's where we're at right now, right? Okay. So my theory has long been that we're too quick to say that Aaron Rodgers is coming back to this team. And let's say that he may or may not. There's a chance he might not. I'm guessing in my situation that he doesn't. And there's another thing here that if he wins the Super Bowl, I actually think he might retire.
Yeah.
Just as a guy who seemingly has a lot going on in his life outside of football. I don't think that this is a guy that wouldn't be against the idea of, hey, I'm going out on top. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he hung up the cleats after winning one more ring. That's 2 rings in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, easy. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that either. I think you go out on top. But let's just throw out the Aaron Rodgers thing. Jordan Love, I think I'm in the upper echelon of people who think Jordan Love might have a shot in the NFL. And I don't care because he's been kind of meh. And you still need to be throwing darts at quarterback. This position is so important. It's literally pulling this team to the number 1 seed and being Super Bowl favorites. I know they have talented players at certain positions. But Bakhtiari hasn't played. Jair Alexander hasn't played. They have an offensive coordinator and a receiver, and that's it. Aaron Rodgers is the reason the Packers won 13 games this year. That's how important the quarterback position is. If you nail that position, you can overcome so many things. Bad offensive line, lack of receiver depth, a defense that stepped up at times but still struggles against the run and really has been kind of passive at times in terms of getting pass rush and has been beaten by good quarterbacks at times as well this year. there are holes all over this roster, and the quarterback has made up for it. So Green Bay fans should know better than anyone else that throwing darts at quarterback is important, which is why we're going to take Malik Willis here with the third pick of the draft, and we're going to make sure that we hit on somebody, because if Jordan Love isn't the guy, then great, you can trade away Malik Willis. And if he isn't, I believe personally with Matt LaFleur, an offensive line that they've always built well, they have some prospects there, they have David Bakhtiari, and bringing back Devontae Adams with the money you have now because you didn't pay Jordan Love and maybe Rodgers is gone. Guess what? Malik Willis can probably fit in with those tools and lead this offense to being great again. I really do think they're going to be considering it too. Matt LaFleur is an outside the box thinker. If Aaron Rodgers isn't here next year, and they'll know this by the draft, there is a very high chance, in my opinion, that in this pick, where you are in quarterback heartland here, this is where quarterbacks to be taken. If a quarterback isn't taken with this pick, someone might be trading in to take one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if Matt LaFleur is thinking about throwing another dart at quarterback to make sure if they get it.
Yeah, you keep up with the Packers tradition too. When Brett Favre was winding down, Aaron Rodgers goes in there, and then
Jordan Love isn't winding down though.
I think Jordan Love is wound. When Aaron Rodgers winding down, Jordan Love goes in there, and Jordan Love's winding down. You put Malik Willis in there. You keep doing it. So, man, if I just want to say this: if Aaron Rodgers isn't decided by draft day, they do that. He's decided. He's like, I am.
Well, that'll let you know.
You guys understand the backlash that Green Bay would get for taking Malik Willis?
Do you remember the backlash they got for taking Jordan Love?
Yeah.
It would be worse.
Sunk cost fallacy, Donnie. Sunk cost fallacy.
Yes. And listen, we're new GMs. We're GM. I'm not saying we're the current GM for the Packers who made the mistake of taking Jordan Love. We're saying right now we're fixing that mistake. All right, that's what we got for our fifth mock draft.
You're welcome, audience.
I made it fun for y'all. Yes, there are some takes in here, man. Donnie's gonna post some clips on TikTok, and I'm afraid for what the 13-year-olds are going to say about us, because they are going.
TikTok. You're welcome.
It's going to be a lot. So let us know if we're idiots, because there are some takes in here that even I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if I should have done that. But if you think this mock is absolutely ridiculous, please comment below. If you like the mock, comment below as well. Let us know what videos you want to see do next, and follow the Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at BoomerBustDraft, and please like and subscribe to the channel. So for Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons, I'm Max Chadwick. Have a great night.